Good morning, everyone. My name is Paul Bloodgood. I'm the Technical Solutions Sales Manager here at SmartSights. For today's workshop, we'll be going over the Win911 and peer integration. We'll start off with a quick overview of peer and discuss the value that this integration will bring to an operation. Then we'll have an overview of the integration and implementation of Win911 and peer. Finally, we'll go through a live demo and then wrap up with questions at the end. If you do have questions during the presentation, please use the question and answer menu, which is that question mark tab at the top right of your GoToWebinar window. So what is peer? Peer is an issue management accelerator. When you think about a manufacturing process or an industrial operation, how would you define an issue in those scenarios? You may think of an issue as a motor that is faulted, or it could be something like a flow rate being out of spec. When we use the word issue in the peer world, both of those examples fit the criteria for peer, but it's important to note that an issue doesn't have to come from a SCADA system. An issue can also be something like an oil leak on the shop floor, or maybe a light needs to be replaced over a production line. So with peer, we're able to capture all these issues, whether they come from a SCADA system or are created manually. Once an issue comes into peer, peer will trigger alerts for responsive action, meaning a person will be assigned a follow-up for whatever issue arises. And from there, that person will need to fill out certain information as they resolve the issue. At the end of the day, peer is building a knowledge base of corrective actions based on data. It can be integrated with ERP systems, MES, SCADA systems, and HMI applications, so there are broad integration capabilities with peer. Peer has its own client that is browser-based. It's designed to adapt to any display size, whether that's a large screen, a laptop, or a phone. Here you see Peer's Broadcast Center, which is something that you put on a control room TV or some sort of big screen in a conference room. This shows you all the open tickets in Peer and the state that they're in. You'll notice different colors for tickets on this screen. The different colors indicate the different states of a Peer ticket. Some examples being inactivated, acknowledged, work in progress, and request made. You'll also notice on these tickets a time feature, which tells you how long the Peer ticket has been open. In addition to the Broadcast Center, Peer also has a Message Center, which is designed for a tablet or desktop. It looks very similar to the Broadcast Center with the colors and information on the ticket, but there are two key differences. The first is that the Message Center groups the tickets by asset, whereas the Broadcast Center simply groups everything by time. When we use the word asset in Peer, we're talking about a machine or piece of equipment within a facility. In this example, at the top of each ticket column, we have Asset 2, Asset 1, HVAC, and Line 1 Labeler 2. When you think about the facilities that you work with, these assets could be, again, pumps or motors, for example. So the Message Center is more of an asset-focused view. The second difference, which is a very important one, is that you can interact with tickets from the Message Center, meaning you're able to move a ticket from one state to another. One example of that interaction is with the entry form. This is the form that a user will need to fill out whenever a peer ticket is created. Items like the date, time, and ticket status will be here by default. But you can configure the entry form based on the information that you want to collect from a peer ticket. In this example, we've added several fields such as engineering reasons, issue description / equipment description. You can see at the bottom that we've added fields for an image or a file to be added. Fields can be required or optional, which is shown with the red asterisks. The fields can be a text box, text area, select box, checkbox, or hierarchy selection. Text boxes are for 50 characters or less, so this would be a quick note. Text area is up to 250 characters in case a longer message is needed. If you'd like this data from the entry form to be generated in a report, though, you'll need to use select box, checkbox, or hierarchy selection. All those options are repeatable, which allows them to be populated automatically in the reporting center. The data from the text box and text area does not get deleted. That can be exported as an Excel file, so those notes don't get lost. The other interaction that you'll have with a ticket through the Message Center is with the status form. It looks just like the entry form, but it can be very different because this is the form that is used whenever a peer ticket is being updated. For example, when the peer ticket is going from acknowledged to, say, work in progress. The status form is like the entry form in the sense that there will be default options listed like date, time, and ticket status. It's different from the entry form based on the information we're collecting, though. In this example, we have fields for engineering assistance, resolution notes, progress notes, and technician assigned. You have the same field options available in the entry form, so a text box, text area, select box, checkbox, or hierarchy selection. And again, you can configure this form based on the process and the information that you want to collect from a peer ticket. Here we have the mobile view. This is a browser-based view that you'd see on your phone. The first screenshot on the left, you can see what creating a ticket looks like when you click the Create Ticket button. The second screenshot is showing the message center that we saw in a previous slide. With the mobile view, the message center is pared down in a single scrolling column like you'd expect on a phone. Within the mobile view, you have all the different status options available so you can easily update the ticket status from your phone. In the final screenshot, you're seeing the report that Peer has available. Because this is all browser-based, you can access any feature of Peer from any device, and it's always optimized for that display. Finally, you can easily integrate Peer into an HMI by using a web browser control object with the URL set to the Peer web portal. We'll quickly demo that now by clicking on the Manage Tickets in the bottom right here. And this would take you to Peer, where you can manage your tickets and then navigate to various pages like the Message Center. Now that we all have a better understanding of what Peer is, let's talk about the value that Peer brings to a Win911 user. When you think about alarms in a Win911 system, you have two concepts of an alarm. The first being, is the condition happening? Is the pump still blocked, or is it actually flowing? The other concept that you have is acknowledgement. Has the operator responded to that alarm or not? With Win911, the alarm comes in as active and not yet acknowledged. Then it ends when the condition returns to normal and the operator has also acknowledged that condition. But what happens between those 2 points in time? Does anyone know what an operator is doing to resolve the issue? Is the operator taking any measurements in the field? Is the operator taking notes about what they did to resolve the issue? For most people and processes, they probably don't know exactly what's being done to resolve the issue. Maybe they have a rough idea of what was done, or maybe there was a conversation with the operator after the fact. But is that information being stored anywhere so they can prevent the issue from happening again in the future? Or if it does happen again in the future, can they utilize what was done in the past to speed up the resolution process? By combining Peer with Win911, all that information can be tracked and then utilized in the future. Now you're going beyond just the alarm lifecycle. You're going beyond wrench time. With Peer, you're able to capture all those notes, measurements, and photos for every issue. With this information, you're able to take an operation to the next level by creating a knowledge base that can be used in the future. When you think about the different operations and processes that you've come across, are there any alarms that people wish they would never see again? What about any alarms that are mission critical that keep people up at night? Wouldn't it be nice to eliminate those alarms? By building this knowledge base, an operation will be able to leverage the data collected by Peer to create standard operating procedures that reduce issue resolution time. Or maybe you'll be able to eliminate that annoying alarm once and for all. As people are responding to these issues and capturing all this information, Peer is tracking this within the reporting center. This is where you can analyze all that information to figure out where time is being spent and where productivity is being lost. You can look at ticket resolution times by a specific day, week, or month to see if there are any trends in the process or to see if the process is improving over time. You can look at tickets by area and asset so you can see what type of equipment is having the most problems in the operation. You can also look at it by team or department. What does the response effort look like for one part of the building versus another? Finally, we can look at the information by reason and ticket type. All this information and reporting is based on how you set up your peer system in terms of assets, areas, and organizational structure. All the information is automatically put into a Pareto chart, so you get rich reporting and analysis with zero effort on your end. The last call out on this slide is that this information being captured is accessible by API within Peer. It can be integrated and exported to these other types of systems like ticketing, CMMS, ERP, and BI. Now we'll go ahead and discuss how the integration works between Win911 and Peer. The process starts with Win911 initiating an alarm notification, just like normal. Win911 then passes that information to peer. From there, peer kicks in to track that issue from start to finish, from alarm initiation to requesting an engineer to repair it, any notes or observations that person takes, all the way until the issue is resolved and closed. This allows us to create a closed loop between the alarm system and the issue management system. As for the structure of this integration, if we're looking at a Win911 system today, there's a SCADA HMI system in the plant. When it detects an alarm, it goes out to the Win911 dispatching system. That dispatching system decides who to route that alarm to and how, by phone call, email, SMS, or the Win911 mobile app. Now that dispatching system can send those alarms to another place, which is the Win911 peer gateway. Then the peer client kicks in, where people can begin tracking, managing, and responding to that issue. As for the implementation of this Win911 peer gateway module, this is not a full scope new release of Win911. It does not require you to do a complete reinstall or updated install of Win911, but you do need Win911 2024 R2 SP2. The gateway module can be downloaded from our website. This is a standalone module that you can install on your Win911 network. This can be on a separate machine from any other Win911 software that's already there. It's very lightweight, it's light duty. Again, you're not reinstalling the whole system to add this gateway. It will likely sit in the same network layer, say a DMZ, for example, as your Win911 mobile hub. This module is very similar in scope to that. This gateway works by playing off the existing notification policies in Win911. The notification policy corresponds to what we call a notification group in peer, which we'll see shortly. The gateway also plays off the area coming in from the alarm record or the label that's assigned onto the alarm subscription. That area will then be taken along when it gets sent to peer and associated with a corresponding area in peer. Once the gateway module is installed where it can reach the Win911 navigation host, the gateway will automatically pick up on the notification policies that are already in Win911, like notification group 1 from the previous slide. The important thing to note here is that the naming convention of the notification policy in Win911 must match the naming convention of the notification group in peer, so the gateway can pass the information between Win911 and peer. Once you select the notification policy or policies that you want to route to peer, you can then pick whether you want the label or the area from that alarm to become the asset in peer. Having these two options gives you flexibility based on how the system is configured. You have the option to define the mapping as part of Win911 versus inheriting it from the SCADA. Once you pick between the label or area, then you'll move into the actual configuration of the gateway. There is some information that you'll need to get from SmartSights to make that connection, which is highlighted here in red. This authentication information will be issued as part of your peer demo or peer license. You can think of it as a license key that allows you to connect Win911 to peer. Now we're looking at the peer side. So far, we have set up a notification policy with a specific label on it in Win911. In peer, this is going to get mapped into the notification groups. As was mentioned before, the naming convention of the notification policy in Win911 must match the naming convention of the notification group in peer, so the gateway can pass the information between Win911 and peer. This connection is important because when we send a notification out directly from Win911, a person is going to get a text message or a push notification from the app. When the notification goes into peer, a person gets notified that an issue has been raised by a text message or an email. So that's what this group is associating. We're taking the alarm from Win911, putting it into peer, and then peer has everyone's phone number and email, and it knows how to notify them. Here's the asset page. As described earlier, the asset represents a machine or piece of equipment. This page is where you would build out the assets in a facility or process, which allows you to associate an alarm between Win911 and peer. So that's it. Once you have those two concepts mapped, anytime an alarm happens from the SCADA system, it will show in Win911 and get pushed into peer automatically. As the alarm state changes within Win911, the peer ticket will automatically change as well. This is one way of communication. So when an alarm comes in, Win911 will see that new alarm is active on act, and that translates to the request made state within peer. When the alarm goes terminal, it translates to a closed state for the ticket. We'll go ahead and show all this now with the live demo. Give me a second to change screens here. We'll begin with a quick overview of peer like we did with the slides. Here you see the broadcast center, which again is something that you could put on a control room TV or some sort of big screen in a conference room. This shows all the open tickets in peer and the state that they're in. You'll notice different colors for tickets on the screen. The different colors indicate the different states of a peer ticket. Some examples being initiate, repair complete, work in progress, and acknowledged. You'll also see on these tickets a time feature which tells you how long the peer ticket has been open. Next is the message center. Again, notice here that the message center groups the tickets by asset, whereas the broadcast center is grouping everything by time. So the message center is more of an asset focused view. You see the same information on the ticket in both the broadcast center and message center. You can see how long a ticket has been opened and what state it is in. Since everything is color coded, it's very easy to quickly understand what ticket is new, what has been responded to, and what work is in progress. Next is the reporting center. Here you can see ticket resolution times by day, last week, or month to date to see if there are any trends in the process or to see if the process is improving over time. You can look at tickets by area and asset, so you can see what type of equipment is having the most problems. In this example, we're using the term line, so you see asset 1 here and line 1 labeler 2. You can also look at it by team or department, which is the notification group in this example. So here we have notification group 1 has gotten the majority of the tickets, engineering team is another one, and production leaders is another group. Finally, we can look at the information by reason and ticket type. And again, all this information and reporting is based on how you designed the peer system in terms of assets, areas, and organizational structure. Then all the information is automatically put into these Pareto charts, so you get the rich data and analysis with zero effort on your end. The final call out with the peer overview is what we call the transaction summary. If I navigate back to the message center and click on the ticket here, this will pull up more detailed information about the issue. At the top, you'll see all the different fields, which we'll cover in a second, but at the bottom, you can see the transaction summary. This is where a timeline is being built for the life cycle of this issue. You can see when the issue started, when it was acknowledged, and any updates. Like in this case, we have a work in progress update. Next, we'll create a ticket manually. You do this by simply clicking the Create Ticket button here at the top of the screen. From here, the different ticket formats that you've configured will appear. We'll choose a standard peer ticket. This is the entry form that we discussed earlier in the presentation. You'll see all the fields available for this ticket. All these fields are configurable. In this example, you can see there's the defect image and the defect file at the bottom, but neither are required. Maybe in your scenario, those two field types are something that you'd want required for your process. And again, that's something that you would be able to set up on your end to make them required. For this example, we'll just stick with the required fields, which is anything with the red asterisks. Let's go with area 1 for the area. The workstation, we will pick asset 1. For status, we're going to say this is a request made because we're initiating the ticket. And then for the notification group, let's do notification group 1. I'll hit submit. will automatically be taken back to the message center where you'll see that the ticket has just been created here, asset one, request made. Now that we've manually created a ticket, let's go ahead and make one automatically. First, I want to show you the Win911 workspace. This is where you'll see the notification policy from earlier in the slides called Notification Group 1. You'll also see the label that we're using in the demo called Asset 3. So when we create this ticket here in a second, it will populate with Asset 3 in Peer. Next is the Peer Gateway module. Here you'll see all the notification groups that are in your Win911 system. For this demo environment, we have the Notification Group 1 and Notify All Contacts. For this example, we're just going to use Notification Group 1. I'll click Configure. And then here's where you have the option between the label or the area. For this example, I'm going to select the label. And this is that piece that's tying the Asset 3 label to the correct asset in Peer. I'll hit Save. And now I'm going to pull up my Kepware system. This is just what we use in the demo environment, but this gateway works with all the same data sources that work with Win911. We have different tags for different demo pumps. I'm going to change the state on pump 1 here. And we'll see everything work its way across these different systems. So here's the alarm that just came through for pump 1. You can see it is active and unact. Now I'm going to go over to Peer. And here we see asset 3 has just been created for a request made. And as you can see, it happens very, very quickly. If we change the state of the alarm inside of Win911, if I acknowledge the alarm, it will acknowledge back to Kepware, and it will also change the state on the Peer side. So now pump 1 is active act. If I go back to Peer, you can see that asset 3 is acknowledged. We can now go in and we can start taking the issue on from Peer. Once I click on the ticket, I'm taken to the status form, which we viewed earlier in the slides. You have all these different fields. And again, this is set up by you based on the process that's being configured and what information you're looking to capture when an issue happens. We'll update this ticket status to work in progress. We can say, is engineering assistance required? For this example, let's say yes. We can make a note here, this progress notes, and say something like, this is a false alarm, photo eye is broken, needs to be replaced. We can also assign a technician to work on the problem. As this is happening, it's also building out a timeline of what's happening with this issue. Down here at the bottom with the transaction summary, you can see that alarm came in at 9:53, then it was acknowledged a minute later. I'm going to hit submit on our status form, and we will be taken back to the message center. You can see the status is now changed to work in progress. I'm going to click back into the ticket so you can see the timeline continue to be updated. Again, the request came in at 9:53, acknowledged at 9:54, and then we filled out the status form a few minutes later at 9:56, and you can see all the different notes that we put in here. We can see that it says engineering assistance is required. We see the notes and who's been assigned to this. To close out this ticket, we'll go back to the Kepware system. We'll change the pump state back to normal conditions. As you can see, the alarm disappeared in the Win911 control center. If we go back to Peer's message center, we'll see that ticket has automatically moved to the closed state right here. You can see it's green now and closed. Once a ticket has been closed, it will stick around for a few minutes so people are aware that it was closed, but then these will be shuffled off the board and we'll only see the ongoing issues. So that's it with the live demo. I'm going to transition back over to the PowerPoint and we'll answer any questions that have come in. Before we get to the questions though, as was mentioned earlier, this gateway module can be downloaded straight from our website. All you need to do is go to the Solutions tab and then click on the Win911 plus Peer section right here. From there, you'll be able to schedule a demo with us or start your free trial. Are there any questions from the audience? Again, if you have a question, it's that question mark box at the top right of the screen. I'm not seeing any questions coming in. We'll give it another minute or two, and then we'll wrap. Okay, last call for any questions. All right, thank you everyone for attending today's session. Again, please feel free to check out our website and go to the Win911 and Peer tab where you can download your free trial. Thank you and have a great day.